A crypto bull calls Dogecoin, what's going on with Dogecoin, a bubble. But yeah, so AMC, they just announced that they are no longer going to be looking to approve an additional 500 million shares from shareholders. Now, instead, they said they're yanking that plan, no longer need that money, but instead they're going to sell at the market offering of 43 million new shares. These shares they got approval from for a while back. I think it was a couple years ago, so they didn't need approval for these. But in a recent interview, the CEO of AMC, Adam Aaron, he had said how he explained all this. He explained how if they were to get approval for an additional 500 million shares from shareholders, they wouldn't have issued them this year. He said they still had about 43 million shares that were already approved years ago that they could, sell at some point to raise additional capital. But he said at that point he didn't know what they were doing. But now they said they have officially made a decision. They will be going and selling these 43 million shares at the market offering price to raise additional capital. They think this will be sufficient to help them get through the rest of the year, raise any money they need, and they don't need 500 million new shares because that would be a lot of money. But right now, AMC is looking pretty good. I think the stock is looking pretty good because a couple of different reasons. First is with Godzilla vs. Kong. That was a great opening weekend. Movie theaters are starting to open back up. In addition to this, out of their 595 locations, 590 U.S. theaters, 585 have already been opened back up. And while a lot of them are running at limited capacity, anywhere between 15 and 60%, things are still looking much better for them. And obviously with more people getting vaccines, states easing restrictions, capacity increasing in all of these locations, they're starting to generate a lot more revenue. And this is a really big deal because previously, when they were looking to issue new shares and talking about everything, the outlook was a little less, it was a little more uncertain. But now things are looking much more certain. They know what is going on for the rest of the year. Some major production companies are saying that they're going to be releasing movies first in theaters, then on streaming, which is absolutely huge for the streaming industry. That's going to benefit AMC. And with everything going on, all of the tension AMC has gotten with the short squeeze with AMC, GameStop, their stock has been doing extremely well. So issuing an additional 43 million shares should be just enough capital that they need. They don't need to issue any more. And the great news is they have most of their theaters open. 99% of their theaters in the U.S. are open. Capacity is increasing, like how many people they can have come to the theaters. And attendance is increasing as well because people are trying to get out of all of this out of their system. People haven't been able to go to movie theaters in about a year. So now they're saying the demand for people to go has been steadily increasing. So we'll see what happens here, but I think it is great news for AMC's stock. A crypto bull calls Dogecoin, what's going on with Dogecoin, a bubble. She says that her firm has not touched it. They will never touch it because essentially she says that it's a classic sort of bubble in her view. It's just like what happened with GameStop, AMC, Sundial, and all these other stocks earlier in the year. She said the same thing with those stocks, but it's happening with Dogecoin. She says it's not that it's good or bad, but essentially Dogecoin just isn't for her company.
Bitcoin has been trading sideways, but the trend that really is being talked about is the strength of Ethereum. Bitcoin dominance dipped below 50% for the first time in nearly 3 years last Thursday. And so the talk of the town right now in my part of the world is what's happening with Ethereum outperformance, as well as some of the portfolio rotation we're seeing into other cryptocurrencies.
Then she goes on to explain how it's just a classic bubble in her view. They don't trade Dogecoin. They don't have a Dogecoin exchange-traded product in the market. So even though there's a lot of attention from retail investors on Dogecoin, she says it's just not for them. Mark Cuban, Elon Musk have been pushing this thing up pretty significantly recently, but Demers, she says that Ethereum, Bitcoin, those are ones that they believe in long term. They don't believe in Dogecoin long term. They think it is going to fade away with all of the hype and all the attention around it. They said eventually they don't think it's going to be around, and they think that Bitcoin, Ethereum those are the long term plays that you want to be in the crypto space. Ethereum just jumped to new record highs on reports of the EIB issuing digital bonds of about 100 million euros, $120 million. So Ethereum, which is the world's second largest cryptocurrency, has been slowly gaining more and more market share, taking away some market share from Bitcoin. And now Ethereum is growing much, much faster than Bitcoin. Ethereum essentially is a digital currency that facilitates transactions on the Ethereum blockchain. They have smart contracts, NFTs. There's a lot of use cases for this that something like Bitcoin doesn't have. Bitcoin is just a digital gold. Ethereum actually has a lot more use cases for payment processing, smart contracts, NFTs, and things like that. So it just reached an all-time high, and this had a lot to do with what was going on with the EIB. So the EIB is European Investment Bank. They said that they're looking to issue about 100 million euro digital bond, with the sale to be led by Goldman Sachs, Banco Santander, and Societe Generale, according to analysts. So they said that this is a big deal because banks now, central banks, all like big investment banks all around the world, are starting to look towards Ethereum. Previously, a lot of these places had only been looking at Bitcoin as any sort of investment, and they hadn't looked into any other cryptocurrencies. But now the European Investment Bank, they're planning to launch this digital bond, and they're planning to really start to make major investments into Ethereum. And I think we're going to see this trend continue all across the world as more and more institutions start turning their heads towards Ethereum rather than just solely Bitcoin, because that's what's going on right now. A lot of institutions are looking towards Bitcoin with Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, with Bitcoin ETFs. But now as Canada recently approved 3 Ethereum ETFs, and Ethereum is becoming a more and more established coin, even though it already is, but as institutions start to see it that way, well, then I think Ethereum is well on its way to reaching $6,000 per coin very, very soon. With the recent update of Ethereum 2.0, supply has been dropped, and with the new updates, I think it's going to drive the price higher even sooner. U.S. officials just arrested alleged operator of a $336 million Bitcoin mixing service. So someone named Roman Sterlingov, he faces 3 charges right now. And the first is unlicensed money transmission. The second is money laundering. And the third is money laundering without a license. So U.S. officials have arrested the alleged operator of a Bitcoin mixing service that's been going on for approximately 10 years now, and they finally caught him. So according to public documents, they said that Roman Sterlingov is a Russian and Swedish citizen, and he's been involved in a Bitcoin mixing service, Bitcoin Fog, with unlicensed money transmission, money laundering, and money transmission without a license. So the U.S. government hasn't gone after many Bitcoin services, mixing services before, but it is a crime. And now, since this was a really, really big money laundering illegal operation, they were able to actually track it and figure out what went on. So essentially what they did is the IRS Criminal Investigation Special Agent Devitt Beckett, he said that what happened is Bitcoin Fog allows its customers to transfer Bitcoin to each other while basically hiding where the coins are being sent from. And Bitcoin was stolen through exchange hacks, and they said essentially what happened here is about 1.2 million Bitcoins that were either laundered or stolen through this one man. And while the identity of Bitcoin address owner is generally anonymous, They said that law enforcement can identify the owner of a particular Bitcoin address by analyzing the blockchain if it's a large enough Bitcoin address. They said then they're able to really determine it. So they said analysis of Bitcoin transactions, financial records, internet service provider records, email records, and additional investigative information helped to identify this man, Roman Sterlinov, as the principal operator of Bitcoin Fog. So we'll see what happens there, but as they continue to get more and more of these illegal operations found, prosecuted, charged, that'll just help cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin in the future, because it's going to give people more confidence in the security of them long term. House Democrats, they just plan to introduce a bill that would make the $300 per month or $250 per month stimulus checks to families and parents permanent under the past Biden's stimulus package. Under the last stimulus bill, the third stimulus package, what was included in this was $250 per month or $350 per month stimulus payments to parents who have children age 17 years or younger. If the children were under 6 years of age, they'd get $300 for each child. If the children were under between 16 and 17, they would get $250 per child. And essentially, these payments are set to start in July of this year, 2021, and they're going to go all the way through the end of this year. So from July of 2021 through December of 2021. But a lot of Democratic lawmakers are now calling for this to be a permanent policy that's going to last not just for the next 6 months, but for years and years to come. They said that this could be like an anti-poverty initiative, and this could really help millions of families for years and years to come. So right now, the Tax Policy Center projected in March that 90% of families would benefit from this sort of program, and experts say that implementing it would halve the country's child poverty rate. And right now they're saying that while they would have to spend $400 billion to extend this program just for the next 3 years, so it's going to cost over $100 billion a year, they said right now the thing to keep in mind is that child poverty costs this country $1.1 trillion a year. And by simply giving $300 checks to families that qualify with children 6 to 17 years of age, they get $300, or less than 6 to 17 years of age, they get $250. Less than 6 years of age, they get $300. They said by giving these payments out, they'd be spending about $100 billion per year, but it costs about $1.1 trillion a year for child poverty costs. So it would actually be more beneficial for the country. So we'll see what happens here. But Republicans are concerned because this is a pretty hefty price tag. They may look at extending it for a couple of years down the road, but a lot of Democratic lawmakers want this to be a permanent sort of solution, a permanent policy that can be put in place. So we'll see what happens here. But right now they're calling to make this $250 or $300 per month stimulus payment, which was part of Joe Biden's last stimulus package. Tesla bought about $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin a couple months ago. What they bought has nearly doubled. And recently, and during Q1 of 2021, they sold about $250 million worth of Bitcoin for a profit of $101 million from the sale of their Bitcoin. And right now, they still have about $2.5 billion worth of Bitcoin left, according to their securities filings, left on their as part of their investments. They still have about $2.5 billion worth of Bitcoin. According to their chief financial officer, they said that a lot of companies, and them included, they were looking for a way to generate a return on their investment in something that they could easily get the money from if they need to use it for something. And they said that's where they turned to Bitcoin, because with Bitcoin, they could easily access it if they ever need to use the money for something else. And it's very easy for them to do. They generated a significant return on the money in the meantime. And while, they can't expect to get nearly 100% gain in just a matter of a couple of months every single time, this time it worked out very well. And they said that they still have about $2.5 billion worth of Bitcoin on their balance sheet. And they're going to be looking to expand this into other cryptocurrencies down the road as well. Right now, it's only in Bitcoin, but potentially they've spoken about other cryptos. Who knows? Maybe they could put money into Dogecoin, but most likely we probably wouldn't see it go into Dogecoin. Most likely we'd probably see this money, if they start to diversify their crypto holdings, probably into Ethereum, Bitcoin to start. And down the road, as we get some other major ones start to develop, become clear leaders in the space, they'd probably put more money into that. Because remember, they're not going to take anything really, they're not going to do a really, really risky investment because they are a publicly traded company. They need this money for investments, building factories, investments into research and development and things like that. So they're not going to do something very, very risky. So they'll probably stick to the top 3, top 4 cryptos out there right now, only in Bitcoin, but we could see this expand over the next couple of years into other cryptocurrencies. If we did see it go into Dogecoin, that would be huge though, but most likely probably just into Bitcoin and down the road into Ethereum. Elon Musk said that Tesla sold Bitcoin to prove the liquidity as a cash alternative, because he said right now a lot of companies, and them included, were looking for a place to store their extra cash where they could generate a return but easily access it. And the problem was with the stock market, they said it's not always as easy to access this capital. But with Bitcoin, they said that that they believe Bitcoin holds long-term value. They see this as a long-term play. But also, if they ever needed to sell off or get any money from their Bitcoin, it is very easy for them to do. We saw this in the first quarter of 2021. They bought about $1.5 billion. Just a couple months later, they sold about $200 million worth of their Bitcoin. So it's very easy for them to liquidate it if they need to. And according to Tesla's chief financial officer, he said on the earnings call that this was a great place for Tesla to put their money. First of all, they believe it's a long-term hold. They think it has a lot of potential long-term, digital assets, Bitcoin in particular. But he also explained how with this, they're able to store their money. It's much better than just keeping it in cash because it's just as easy to liquidate as cash, he explained, but they're actually generating a significant return on their money. They basically doubled their money. And while they can't expect that every time, this was and is something they believe is a great long-term play, and they're going to continue to do this. So for a number of strategists, Bitcoin and other tokens are just purely speculative, but like for example, Bank of America Research, they argue that Bitcoin fails as a store of value or unit of account owing to its volatility. But Elon Musk, the CFO of Tesla, other high-profile investors do support Bitcoin, other cryptocurrencies, and they're saying that they believe it's much better to keep your money in Bitcoin or crypto instead of just keeping it in cash, because it's just as easy to liquidate, but you're actually going to generate a return on your investment long term. You never know short term, but long term they believe definitely will generate some sort of significant return. The Visa CEO just said that the payments giant is moving into crypto in a very, very big way. And this is really exciting because Visa has tens of millions of people who use their cards, who use their products every single day. And Visa CEO Al Kelly, he discussed their plan moving forward for cryptocurrency during an earnings call just the other day. And he said really right now they're very well positioned for Bitcoin, Ethereum, crypto in general moving forward. He said they're going to be focusing on 5 different opportunities they see in the cryptocurrency space. And one thing in particular that they think they're extremely well positioned for, that they're trying to take advantage of, is on the topic of CBDCs, which are central bank digital currencies, because they said that they're currently been in talks with central banks in their development process with central bank digital currencies. And this is really important because if Visa could play a major role with governments in rolling out digital currencies, like central bank digital currencies, that would be absolutely huge for Visa. And they said they're already talking about the criticality of public-private partnership, in particular, the criticality of acceptance, because these central bank digital currencies, to have value, they're going to have to be both secure in the minds of the consumers, and that's something that they have a long track record with and could help. So they said that really the only way that central banks could be successful in making central bank digital currencies, making them so people actually use it, is if people know it can be trusted. And Visa thinks that they have that reputation, and they are really pushing heavily into the cryptocurrency space. they've already talked about a lot of strategies they have in place for Bitcoin, stable coins, and other things on the long-term horizon. But this is a pretty big deal that they're already talking to central banks about potentially rolling out, being a part of central bank digital currencies down the road. And now the BitPay CCO, he said as institutions start to pile into Bitcoin, as it bounced back from $50,000 per coin, well above that now. He said retail investors are starting to look towards altcoins, because when people look at Bitcoin, it used to be very volatile, and it still is. But for people who are just getting into crypto, Bitcoin's a little boring for them. That, the mindset is for people who are just getting into crypto is that Bitcoin's been there forever. Everyone who made their money from Bitcoin is probably already going to make the major money. And now they're trying to look for the next big thing. So everyone's turning towards altcoins. And that's why we're seeing Bitcoin's dominance drop below 50%. So the total market cap of Bitcoin is now below 50% of the entire crypto market. And this is something we usually hadn't seen before. Since 2018, we had never seen this. During 2017, during that massive bull run, we did see it happen. But now we're starting to see it for a little more sustained period of time. And according to the CCO of BitPay, he says a lot of this has to do with the Coinbase listing, people now having access to cryptocurrencies. And basically, he says he believes that trading is here to stay in the crypto space. And a lot of people who are just getting into it are looking at the smaller coins out there, looking for things that have major fluctuations, especially if they're trading. And he said he gets dozens of calls every single day of companies that want to accept crypto, not just Bitcoin, but all types of crypto. And he said specifically with Robinhood now, people are just not as excited about Bitcoin. They're looking towards these smaller altcoins in the altcoin market to really see a significant return. We've seen Dogecoin skyrocket 9,000% over the last 12 months. We've seen a bunch of other new coins. These aren't really altcoins, these aren't so small, but Cardano, Stellar, Ripple, all of these have grown dramatically. Those aren't the small market cap ones. Those are still in the top 10, but people are looking more towards they're looking away from Bitcoin and Ethereum, looking more towards altcoins because they have larger swings, more exciting to invest in. And I think this is a trend that we'll continue to see moving forward because people are looking for that 5-10x return in a very short period of time. And they're not going to get that with Bitcoin, but it is possible to get it with altcoins. So we'll see what happens, but that's really all I got for you guys today. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to get your 4 free stocks, each valued up to $1,600 when you download the Webull investing app using the link down below. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.